Hi guys, how are you? Thank you for coming tonight. I always appreciate it. I love being here. I love being with you guys and spending time with you. And I know that my dad's always love to be here as well. So let's start off and see who's here tonight. We have Lee and Nora, and Lee takes the trash and the recycles out, puts out a variety of finger foods and snacks, soft drink, and various waters on the table. Put some Oreo cookies in milk with white, dark, and milk chocolate fountain, pretzels, marshmallows, and fruit. Welcome to Diamond Painting with NMD. Help yourself. Come on in, grab a snack, and hit the like button on the way to your seat. Thank you, eat at least two things. Please, I appreciate that. At the end of these lives without the snacks, fixing the Oreos and milk. Hi, Rich. How are you today? Do you have a good day? How's Sammy? That little cutie. I got 1,000 pictures of him. Hi, Helen. Thank you for being here. How are you today? Hi, Miss Angel. Thank you for being here. How are you doing today? How are you feeling? You've been listening in as I'm packing up my eBay kit and then to post tomorrow. Oh, are you having a dish dash? I love dish dash videos. Um, you look forward to each stories. Yes, so do I. And oh my God, I never can say that. But thank you for being here. I'm gonna call you Flower. What's your name? May I ask? And I've asked you that before, and I apologize. So she said, "Hi, everyone. It's a start." Oh my God, I didn't read it. I'm sorry. I know they're laughing at me that face. That's okay. Thank you for being here, Stars. I appreciate that. One of these days, I'm gonna stop asking you for your name. That day is not today. I'll wipe my mouth for any special things. And oh, you're gonna take Angel's pen? That's not job, Rich. I don't know what you're thinking. That's are my pens. Let's see. Angel said, "Why did I say your name twice?" Okay, you're not the only one having a hard day with names, that's for sure. That's nice to know. Hi, my favorite. How are you? I'm glad you're here. I talked to you today. Hi, Allison. I'm here to them listening and driving. Hello to everyone in chat. Well, thank you for being here, Allison, and be careful on the road. Jay Lily, you made it for a few minutes. You had to say hi to your parents. Well, thank you. I'm glad you're here. Jay Lily's going to dang night tonight. She worked at a senior center and they had dang nights on Thursday. So she's gonna go have some fun. Hi, Amy. How are you? Thank you for being here. Hi, Miss Dit. How are you? And Sherry, looking forward to hearing your story. E. Thank you for sharing. Hello, team. Thank you guys for coming. Hi, Sarah and Sarah. Sarah. I didn't get it right. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. Melanie. Hi. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. Thank you, guys, for coming and supporting Eve. I know she appreciates that. You'll be lurking since you have a stomach bug. Oh, man. Well, you rest up. I understand that. You ready to eat? I'm ready too. Are you guys ready? Now, I do want to say that she has requested that she's going to tell her story. And then she will be happy to answer any questions that you may have. So, if there's anything person that I think she needs to ask right away, she said, to let her know. But Other than that, she's going to tell her story, and then I will read some comments and some questions to her when she is finished. Okay. All right. Is Jenny still sick? Did I was supposed to talk to her tomorrow. I hope she's feeling better. I don't think she got her sick. She's not. She wouldn't do that. You'll be tossing in and out. Mom duty never in. No, it does not. You take care of your kiddos. You do what you need to do. That's just fine. Okay, you're excited to see how Eve became so awesome. So am I. Hi, Christopher. Thank you for coming. I appreciate that. Okay, if you guys are ready, I'm gonna bring her on. Are you ready, Eve? All right, here she comes. Hi. How are you?
I'm good. I had a whole lot of day today at work. I've been talking all day, so my voice is a little rough, and might be you guys' break because I'm talking. I have a rough voice. I may not hold out as long as I can because I can talk for a long time. So I'm gonna do my best to kind of keep things concise.
Well, you do what you need to do, and if you need a break, that's cool. Just tell me. We'll take a break.
All right, I should be good. I think I'm good. I know the material I'm going to deliver because it isn't material, it's my story. It's about who I am and how I got here. So,
well, I know one thing. We love who you are and who you became. So I'm interested to know. I know parts of it, not all of it, and I'm interested to know you as well. How you became who you are. Because I looked up to you. Hi, Adam. Thank you for coming. I do. I looked up to you. I think you're so amazing. I hope you know how much everyone loves you and Kathy too. And we think that you two are just the most beautiful people and amazing, strong people I've ever met. And you are very strong. You really are.
thank you, Tams.
I'm inspired by you. I just wanted you to know that before we started. So, uh, had you just want to tell your story and I'll sit back and listen, or you know?
That sounds good. I'm ready anytime you're ready.
Okay, so I am ready. And hi Tracy, thank you for coming. I appreciate that. Um, just start off by saying, give us a little background of who you are and where you came from, and you take it from there. Hi, Kaden. Thank you for coming. Okay.
All right, thanks, Tams. I'm going to get the chat out of the way so I'm not distracted by seeing that, and that'll help me out. So where do I begin? I'm used to telling my story in either trainings I do or in recovery meetings. And I usually start out by saying, I'm an addict. My name is Eve. And I guess you guys probably know, if you know anything about my stash, that's an accurate statement. I was born to an intact family. I had mom, dad, and a brother, older brother, 5.5 years older than me. And it was what I believed was a normal family. There wasn't a whole lot of dysfunction, except that illness began early. We were Orthodox Jewish, and not what's considered ultra Orthodox, but what today's considered modern Orthodox. We had a kosher home, celebrated the holidays, all that stuff. But I went to public school and all that. Around the age of 6, little kid, right, stuff started happening. And my grandfather died. The grandfather that lived with us died. And my one grandmother that was alive, she passed away. And my father had his first heart attack. He had a heart attack 3 years in a row and died at age 48 when I was 9 years old. And that's really where dysfunction began. Prior to that, I had endured, to use the terms, I usually speak in very plain, real terms. I don't like euphemisms, but we have to do what we have to do on YouTube. I had been abused by a cousin in a way that we say is SA. And I was very little when this happened. And it may have happened more than the few times I remember. But this was a cousin that was 10 years older than me that we all looked up to. And I didn't know because I was so little. I had no words to tell anyone or no words to describe what was happening, he was making me do things. And I had no idea until many years later the impact that this had on me. Mine is a story of trauma that may not be classic types of trauma, but what's classic trauma anyway? When you have a brother 5.5 years older than you, brothers pick on sisters, and I just thought it was normal. My brother used to jump out of a hallway area that was like set back and scare me like every day for years. And I have hypervigilance, and I have a reflex, a startle reflex that's overly sensitive. So if you sneak up on me and I turn around and scratch your face, it's because of that, so don't sneak up on me. Bad idea. And I know I might see some of you guys on a retreat, so don't sneak up on me. Come over. You can mess with me other ways. There's lots of ways you can mess with me. I don't mind being teased, but don't sneak up on me. It's a trauma response.
Yeah.
After my father died, we moved from what was a suburban middle class neighborhood. We were on target our family would have been on target to stay middle class. My father was an optometrist and his practice was growing. My father was a World War II veteran and a wounded warrior. He came back from World War II having lost his leg. And it was after that he met and married my mother, which I strongly believe has a lot to do with him dying at age 48. So him going on after that with my mom to become an optometrist, to become a doctor, he started college. He started from scratch and went through 4 years of college and then went to optometry school. This is before they had my brother and me. Is a pretty remarkable story of resilience in its own. I grew up under a shadow of my brother. And my brother was really smart. And back in those days, there was no filters on teachers. We hope you're as smart as your brother. You should be a really good student. Your brother was such a good student. So there was some of that. I also grew up in a time when boys were considered much more important than girls. And I strive to be as smart as my brother. I've strived to be as cool as my older cousins. And I looked up to people. And in this, I lost some of my own identity. Like, I didn't want to be like my brother or like my older cousin. I wanted to be my brother. I wanted to be my older cousins. And we grew up in what was kind of like almost like a family where these two older cousins were with us so much that they were almost like they were my brother and sister. And this was the same cousin that abused me. Now, I started using drugs after my father died because my brother started using drugs. And I first used drugs when I was 9 years old. Either 9 or 10. I can't remember what I used first, whether I got drunk at a wedding, I drank some champagne at a wedding and threw up and all that. Or I know I had smoked some weed at the time, what we called pot back then, right? I think I was probably like 11 when that happened. But I was already escaping into my own mind. And I believe because of the SA, I was already overly obsessed with boys. And I was probably around 12 when I had my first dream about girls. I define myself as a cisgendered, meaning that I identify as a woman. That's the same gender that I was born into. I identify with my orientation of affection as being bisexual. I am a person in long-term recovery from the disease of addiction. I am also a person that recovers from mental illness. So just to give you some of my intersectionality. And the rest of me right now, I'm also an old white lady. So we can put it out there like that. That's some of the rest of my intersectionality. I'm going to jump around all over the place. It's just the nature of how my story gets told. I don't tell it linearly because I didn't have time to like lay out the timeline. I haven't done that in a really long time. So I'm going to try my best to keep things linear, but it won't go that way. I can tell you that. So most important things to me as a very little, as a little girl, as a tween, so to speak, was that I have a boyfriend. I was obsessed with boys. I was also obsessed with sex and sexuality. And I didn't know much about it, but I was obsessed with it, probably because of the abuse, probably a trauma response. I was obsessed with being cool. And it was the 60s, and there was a lot to be cool about. And I found myself by the age of 12, I was a radical feminist at the age of 12. I dropped out of Hebrew school. I left the Jewish religion at 12 before I had a bas mitzvah because my mother's friend, when I asked her, I was questioning, right? Like, what is the place of a woman? What is the woman's place in this religion? And remember her name, Blanche Fibish, right? Blanche told me, Evola, it's a woman's place is to stay home and care, clean and cook clean, raise children, clean and cook and take care of the men. And I was out of there. That was it at 12. And I kind of haven't looked back since. I look back now and I was already depressed. I remember writing a letter to cousins on my aunt's side of the family because my mother sold our home and moved us in with my aunt and uncle until we could get an apartment. And we went from a nice home to a crappy 2-bedroom apartment where I had to share a bedroom with my mother. My brother, he was the 13-year-old boy, so he got his own room. And all the focus was on him. It was all about, oh, this boy without his father, and nobody saw me spiraling, right? Nobody was looking after my mental wellness. There wasn't a whole lot of focus on mental wellness at that time anyway. I remember getting in trouble because I wrote a letter to these cousins that were like the same age of me that they lived far from me and saying something like, I wish I wasn't alive. And they told my aunt, who told my mother, and I got in trouble because I wished I wasn't alive. Nobody was looking at any of that. I started making friends. School was not fun. Changing schools was not fun. I was considered different because I was Jewish. I was a little bit, not really, but I was a little bit chubby, and people made fun of that. And I kind of had a big nose, so I got not beat up, but bullied and picked on for that. We didn't call it bullying then. I got picked on about my nose. And I always felt less than. I always felt outside of. I always felt like I was the little girl looking through the plate glass window at the party inside that I wasn't at, even if I was at the party. And this all led to extremely low self-esteem and led to me not wanting to feel like me. And I found out pretty early on, really heavily at age 12, that using substances could make me feel like I didn't like it a different way. And just so you know, I refer to myself as being clean and in recovery. And that, when I say that, I'm talking about not using any substances, and that includes alcohol, because alcohol is the oldest known drug. So when I say drugs, that includes, you name it, marijuana, Michelob, methadone, you name it. That includes it all. I do not use alcohol, and I consider it a drug for me. And I don't use it anymore. I started using at 12 and realized at about 15 that I could get prescriptions at a doctor's. They didn't give the prescription to your mother. My mother was working. She worked in retail. And I actually started the first day she started at this store. She ended up working there for many, many years. And I remember we both got paid the same, $1.75 an hour to work retail in this store. And my mother wasn't there. She was working. So I would have to go, like if I had to go to the doctor by myself, and I knew what to say, and I could get prescriptions. And I started using pills. I found out I liked the ones that made you go down and not the ones that made you go up. And I think I had my first hospital admission at 15, when I walked myself into an emergency room and told them that I thought my mind was collapsing. I didn't think my mind was collapsing. I wanted to just check out, just check the F out and not have to deal with anything, because dealing with stuff was hard. And I had, at 15, I was this radical feminist, and I believed in, I was very progressive in my thinking and still am today. And I went on birth control pills long before I had sex with anyone. And I didn't know that the hormones in the birth control were exacerbating depression that I had. And I checked myself into the psych ward at 15, basically, and got the diagnosis of depression with substance abuse. And pretty much until I stopped using substances, it was always with substance abuse. It's all very different now. I work in the mental health field, so I have a very different look on things now. I went through high school having, a couple of romantic relationships. I was not one of the popular girls. I came out of the wrong public school. We were all in public school, but I came out of the school basically on the wrong side of the tracks because we were poor now. I had this big entitlement issue because I was going to be kind of headed to be a rich girl. My father was a doctor, and we were going to buy a house on the water and all that kind of stuff. That was the direction we were moving. And now I lived in this crap apartment, sharing a bedroom with my mother. Eventually got a bigger apartment, but in the same crap complex. And I was resentful about it all. And I had a lot of entitlement issues. I kind of thought the world owed me a living because I had been gypped out of the life I thought I was going to have. And the pretty girls and the popular girls all got the boys, and I was getting boys here and there, but then I ended up getting the boys I wanted to be around, and those were the stoners. I was absolutely one of that crowd. And yet I almost lived a dual life, because I was one of the stoners, but I was a straight A student because I was smart. And as time went on, I did more and more drugs and got more and more depressed and was back in the hospital, and eventually decided here was my way out. I was not going back to public school after a hospital admission. And, I had gotten myself admitted to the psych ward again. I mean, it was great. You got to wear your pajamas and do arts and crafts and pottery and all this stuff. And that's where I learned how to needlepoint and cross stitch and do all that stuff, was on the psych ward of all places. My aunt did teach me how to knit, and another cousin that I called aunt did teach me how to knit and crochet. And I was very young. I was 8 or 9 years old when I started learning that stuff. Anyway, I got myself into, again, I don't have the right word. I made this happen. Let me use that you put it that way. I got myself into an alternative high school for kids with drug problems. Usually people were sent there or the courts sent people there, but I got myself there. And it's funny because it was right in my town. And my mother had signed a petition against it coming to our town. And then years later, I was to be someone to go there. I found my place in this school. It's where I was around people that taught me things I wanted to learn. Like I studied women's studies in this high school. I learned the history of the 1960s because now it was the 70s. It was obviously a very progressive school. And I was given an opportunity to finish at my own pace. And I graduated from high school at 16 and a half. I thought I was ready for the world, and I really wasn't. That summer, I got into some trouble. My girlfriend and I thought the cops were after us. So we decided we had to get the hell out of New Jersey. And our mode of transportation in that day was hitchhiking. Stuck out your thumb on Ocean Avenue and you got picked up and down, whether we were in Asbury Park, we lived at the shore, or Monmouth Beach, up and down. That's how we got around. And for the most part, we never had any problem. I did have myself and someone else was once picked up by somebody that held us at knife point until we escaped and got out of the pickup truck. But we laughed about it when it was over. You know, I think about it now, it's terrifying to me now. My girlfriend and I, we thought we were going to get busted, and we got the hell out and we hitchhiked to San Diego. We left New Jersey. I made it to San Diego in 3 days, riding with truck drivers. And for the most part, they all left me alone. I didn't sleep with any of those truckers except the cute young one I wanted to sleep with. You know, I had lost my virginity at 15 and I was all about it. I did what I wanted to do. I eventually came back from San Diego. I spent 2 wild, insane weeks out there and came back, and my mom was pissed. My friend's mother was pissed. My aunt and uncle were pissed. And I didn't think they were going to let me go to college, but they did. My mother did. A week after my 17th birthday, I was a freshman at Syracuse University, and I was not ready. I was clueless. I was totally unprepared. But I thought I was. I thought I knew everything, you know. And I went to Syracuse University and I majored in sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And boys, you know, I heard somebody describe it as I was going for an MRS degree. Well, I really wasn't going for an MRS degree because I wasn't looking for marriage. I just wanted I wanted a boyfriend that I could party with. And I found just what I was looking for. I found a guy that did more drugs than me and had better drugs than me. And that's when I started injecting drugs. I was an IV drug user, and that started in Syracuse. And I was only there for 1 semester. I maybe passed 2 classes. I came back, and we were like shooting pharmaceutical drugs, but came back and we started going into Harlem in New York City. I started using heroin, and I probably off and on not even off and on. It just built more and more. I was addicted from the first time I did it. I woke up the next morning and it was game on. I wanted more, but it made me horribly sick. For the next 3 years, I pretty much, as we say in the world I recover in, I shot dope for the next 3 years, and I threw up for the next 3 years on a daily basis. I looked pretty good. I was thin for the first time in my life. And in this, after that first semester in Syracuse, I moved out to New Mexico. My mother let me leave before my 18th birthday with this boyfriend. We packed up and we moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico. We drove cross country, and all we found out there was more drugs. And that's where my opiate addiction and then opioid addiction really took off because we found doctors you could get scripts from, and we started doing pharmaceuticals. And this is where things, started getting really dicey. I got myself into a level of sex work that was not prostitution per se. It could have been, but I wasn't going to go there. I worked as a nude model in these little modeling studios. It was like a weird thing out west. You would see it, and I'm sure that there were other women there turning tricks, but I wasn't doing that. I also wasn't making any money doing it because I wasn't turning tricks, so that didn't last. I we supported our habits any way we could, mostly stealing from ourselves, selling our stuff, and you get money for Christmas that went to drugs. You get, I was getting a social security check because of my father, that went to drugs. Any money my boyfriend's parents sent him, and his parents were very well off, that went to drugs. And I would have these little jobs. And I know it's funny, Rich said someday he wants to have me on and interview me just about all the jobs I've had. On my 18th birthday, I started working as a car hop, no roller skates, but as a car hop at a place called Mac's Steak in the Rough, right? Which was, it's just so bizarre to me that these things went on. And I lived this life. I went to school. I got trained in hospital work. I was a unit secretary, and I was allegedly really good on the job and awake and alert and all that. And that's because I couldn't do dope before I went to work or I'd be throwing up. So I would go to work dope sick every day and come home and then get high. So I had this dual life, and it went on from there. I ended up coming back here, going back to New Mexico, coming back here, going back to New Mexico. I ended up eventually down in Washington, D.C. with those cousins, and then I ended up with my own apartment in Washington, D.C. I was always leaving. I always ran because I could not deal. I have come to learn today that reality is for people that cannot handle drugs. So I get to live in reality. While in Washington, D.C., some really bad things happened to me. I was there off and on for 5 years. I had that one apartment, the first apartment I ever had, my own apartment. It was in that apartment that I was raped by someone that I knew. I had left my keys in my door and didn't know it, and people had come to my apartment after the bar closed. I was one of those people, close down the bar and just keep partying. Came back to my apartment, and when this guy left, he took my keys and snuck back in later when I was passed out, and I woke up where I was being assaulted. There were other incidents similar to that. I once, and it's almost hard to say this without laughing, I know it's bad, I know it's sad, but I got mugged twice in one day. That's the life that women that are out there using live. And I was hitchhiking in Washington, D.C., a really bad idea. I was completely drunk off my ass, and 4 guys in a car pull over to pick me up. I got in because I was so drunk. I didn't know I knew what I was doing, but I didn't have any inhibitions. And these guys ended up taking me into a basement, and although they did not SA me, they did not assault me, they beat me up pretty good, and I got away. And I ran from them. I got away, and I was hitchhiking because I didn't know any other way to get out of where I was. I was in a terrible neighborhood in DC, and a taxi cab pulled over and said he would help me. And then this guy said, "Oh, come on, I'll take you back to my house. You'll be okay. We'll get high. It'll be good." And he took me back to his house and locked me in his house and was going to assault me. And I got away. I got myself to the door, unlocked the door, and I don't even know how I did it, but I got away, and I was screaming in the street and I was crying. And another taxi picked me up and took me home. This was the kind of life I lived. Eventually I ended up homeless in Washington, D.C., sleeping on rooftops, living in what we called abandonminiums, right? Abandoned buildings. Um, and when I think back to some of my lowest points, I think of myself, having $2.50, and that was enough for a 6-pack of Wiedemann's beer and a hot dog from the Tip Top Grocery. Sitting on the curb, drinking my beer and eating a hot dog and picking up cigarette butts and smoking them, picking up butts out of the gutter. That's where addiction brought me. Now, was that a low enough point for me to get clean? No. I was in and out of drug programs. I went to outpatient. I went to short-term programs. I went to long-term programs, 18-month treatment that I never made it past 3 months in those places. I remember walking into an 18-month treatment program for the second time, and a therapist there looking at me. My last name, I'm going to say what my last name used to be. You may have seen it on Facebook. She looked at me and said, "Hey, Folkenflik, same MO, checking into psych hospitals?" And yeah, I would check into psych hospitals. A couple of times that tripped me up. I tried to go into the hospital, the nice cushy psych unit at the local hospital, and I got committed to the state institution, which was horrific. And I supposed to be committed on a 3-day hold, and they wouldn't let me out for 10 days. And I also I got locked up in this was actually I think it was a federal, because it was in Washington, D.C. I spent a month in St. Elizabeth's Hospital, and you hear about these psych wards where there's 40 women in a ward in one room. I was there, and I survived there. And these hospitalizations were often after, I can't say certain things because of YouTube, after I had attempted to take my own life. And not too many of these attempts were serious attempts, and people say they're cries for help, and that's BS. They're not cries for help. They're moments of despair and moments of desperation where you truly don't want to live. But for me, I was too chicken to really do it. And that's what it was. So I guess inside of me, there was something that wanted to live more than wanted to die. And there was part of me that wanted to get clean, and part of me that wanted to get right. Yet the part of me that wanted to get high was stronger. And I eventually went to my first recovery meeting before I went to one of those long-term programs, and I found people that were doing it. And it was small. The fellowship I attended, I'm not going to say, because we usually keep it somewhat anonymous. Let me just put it this way. It's not the one that starts with an A, but it's an anonymous fellowship. And it's a program of recovery from the disease of addiction. And I went to this meeting, and I felt like this was a good place for me, but I thought I was too sick to be there. And I went into these other kind of programs over the years. And eventually I banged around between New Mexico, between Washington, D.C., boyfriends, occasionally hooking up with a woman, just living a life of misery, except when I was wasted. And I wanted to be wasted to oblivion. That 24 hours a day, I want to be sedated kind of thing. I wanted to be wasted. And I would often use myself into blackout. And I was not a good hustler. I was not a good person. I was not good. I wasn't a good thief, and I wasn't a good drug dealer, and I wasn't all of that, because that takes a lot of heart, and that takes a lot of chutzpah. I don't know what the right word is. I didn't have it. I couldn't steal somebody's purse. I would steal the football pool from back behind the bar where I worked. I would steal from my mother, but I couldn't go out and rob somebody. Although when I left New Mexico the last time, it was because we robbed a pharmacy and got caught. My boyfriend got caught. I didn't. I was driving the getaway Jeep. And I couldn't drive at the time. I hadn't learned to drive yet. Pretty scary. I didn't learn to drive till I was 21 because I was too wasted to do it. Once I learned to drive, that changed everything. See, my mother never drove. And I had a therapist, years ago say to me, if you could change anything about your childhood, what would it be? Most people would say that my father hadn't died. It was that my mother would have driven, because I was a second class citizen because my mother didn't drive. I couldn't do stuff other kids did. So when I learned to drive, it was the key to freedom, but it was also the key to more going and doing and buying and getting the ways and means to buy and get more. My early 20s were the worst. That was when I was using heavily. I had stopped using the needle. I had stopped doing opioids for the most part. And what really brought me down was alcohol, weed, cocaine, all that kind of stuff. I actually had a place to live. I had an apartment because I had a job. I was a sex worker. I was a phone fantasy girl long before there were webcams or any of those things. And I made decent money doing it. And I was a bartender. And I lived my life. I lived my life. I had a boyfriend that was much older than me. It was the first time I ever had a boyfriend that was much older than me. And it was still a wreck. It was still a train wreck because I was a blackout drinker every night. Eventually, I ended up making it back to New Jersey because before that, I was sitting in a bar one night with a guy, and he'd telling me he's leaving for New Mexico. He's going to go to New Mexico. And I told him I wanted to go. And he said, when do you want to go? And I said, finish your drink. And we went back to his house, packed up his stuff, went to my house, packed up my stuff, and drove back to New Mexico. This is the guy I met him, first time I ever met him. 2 days later, we're driving back to New Mexico. And while I was out there, I had another attempt at my life. And this time I almost really did it. And I got so scared that I called a friend in New Jersey who called 911 because there was 911 there, and she saved my life. I made it back to New Jersey, and this is when I ended up in that New Jersey State Hospital. And that's when I went to my very first meeting of a 12-step fellowship, but nothing really clicked. So I went to meetings here and there for about 3 or so years. And in September of 1983, I did try to take my life again and was almost successful. I ended up in the hospital, in ICU, and I did something I hadn't done in a long, long time, and that was reach out to a power greater than myself, a higher power. Some people call that higher power God. I use God. God is the universe, all of the above, all that there is. I use that interchangeably. You guys probably, some of you know me. I'm a bit of a blaspheming heathen, if anything. I'm not a religious person. I find my spirituality more generically. But in that moment, I said, God, help me. And the answer came to me through my own conscience, which I now believe is how my higher power speaks to me, through my conscience, and said to me, go back to the meetings, go back to the rooms. And I went and got into a treatment program, a 30-day treatment program that was based in 12-step recovery. And I never used again. And that was September 5th, 1983. I have not had a substance, including alcohol, including weed, including you name it. I have not used in over 41 years. And that was the key turning point in my life. I built a life of recovery from there forward. And I got totally involved in the 12-step fellowship that I still go to. And I got a sponsor, and I found all these people that could help me. And I started building a life, and I met a guy, and we got involved. And we were, I was probably about less than a year into that relationship, and a woman walks into the Wednesday night meeting, and I always went over and greeted the newcomer and said hello. And those of you who have heard Kathy's story will know that that was when I met Kathy. And that was August of 1985. And we hit it off right away. And I sponsored her for maybe a year or so. And then we became too close of friends. And we became besties. And we're besties. Almost August will be 40 years later that we're still BFFs. I know many people wonder, what's our relationship? We're both members of the LGBTQIA plus community, yet we have never been romantic partners. We're platonic life mates. We're platonic life partners is the best way I can describe it. We're soulmates. And I'm okay with that today. But all those years up until menopause was one of the biggest breaks I ever caught in my life. Second biggest changing factor in my life, because I stopped being interested in sex and men. And it cut me the biggest break ever, because I was still sexually obsessed all those years. And here's another really big point of my life. I spent the first 10 years of recovery suffering. Everybody else was happy, joyous, and free. Not everybody else. A lot of people in recovery. That's one of the things we say in my program. We're happy, joyous, and free. I really wasn't. I was miserable underneath. Granted, I had happiness, I had joy, I had some levels of freedom, but I was not free. And it was because my mental illness was untreated. Now, I had gotten in another, relationship when I had, I don't know, I guess about maybe 6-7 years clean, and with another guy in recovery, and we eventually got married. We had an amazing wedding. I walked down the aisle to Jimi Hendrix Little Wing. We had the coolest wedding ever. And great wedding. Marriage was awful because I was so unwell. I found in the security of marriage, impact of the SA, the trauma, and the trauma I experienced, the various forms of SA I experienced in addiction. In that security, that stuff started resurfacing. And I was also dealing with food addiction, going to programs for that. And I knew I needed more help than I could get. And some friends helped me go into a hospital. I thought it was for food addiction, compulsive overeating, and for an eating disorder. And it wasn't. They had an eating disorder unit in this hospital. I went to a hospital in Florida. I had good insurance at the time. I had been working in a hospital. And I got it. They had me admitted to a women's trauma unit. I didn't even know such a thing existed. And that was the turning point of my recovery. Absolutely. The cathartic moment, the place where I really began to recover on a super deep level. And I came out of there. I went into therapy. I ended up having to leave the program early because my mother got diagnosed with cancer. My mother was older. She was 40 when I was born. My mother got diagnosed with cancer, and they thought they could get it all with a surgery. And I had to come home. And amazingly, they got it all with a surgery. She was given 2 years to live, and she lived for 7, which was pretty amazing. Now, I'm nothing like my mother. And I worked hard to be nothing like my mother. And they say you're always going to turn into your mother. The funny thing is I'm turning into Kathy's mother. I don't know how that's happening, but there are some aspects of me that are like my mother. But I did not want to be somebody. I wanted a career. I wanted a marriage. My father died. My mother never remarried, dated, nothing. What I really wanted was to not be alone like my mother. And I ended up not alone, but not with a romantic partner. I ended up with a bestie instead, and I'm fine with it. I ended up with a greater sense of self than my mother ever had. My mother had a mental illness that never got diagnosed. My mother, I know now, my mother lived with generalized anxiety disorder, and she also lived with a level of depression that she never recovered from my father's death. And we didn't know that then. We just did not know that. So something else happened to me in all these years. In early recovery, I had about 9 months clean, and a guy said to me, Eve, go to the doctor, your eyes are yellow. And I was like, somebody else told me, Eve, I think your eyes are yellow. And back then you could get hepatitis, you got hepatitis B shooting dope. And I had never been tested for any of it. And I went and got tested and found out I had hepatitis B somewhere along the line. I don't even know when. And I had something called non-A, non-B hepatitis. And that was later to be named hepatitis C. How I avoided AIDS, HIV, I have no idea. I don't know. Luck of the draw, good fortune, I don't know, because I was in the heat of it in those days. Somehow I was, I don't know, meant to be here, but I ended up with hepatitis C. And I had hepatitis C for 35 years. And let's just roll the tape way forward. The marriage didn't last. It ended after a year. That's when I really started to get I got better treatment for my mental illness when I started taking medication for my mental illness, because I was totally non-functional when the marriage ended. I was curled up in a ball. I had nowhere to live. I'm crashing on my mother's couch. Ended up living with my friend Richie's mom, who gave me a room to rent. I was on the balls of my ass, as they say, right? And I started taking medication, and I went back to work, and I started to feel a little better. Yet, as the years went by, I had this hepatitis C chewing at my liver, and there was really no treatment. There was nothing you could do for it. You just dealt with it. I think around 1991, I had my own place. I had an apartment I was sharing with somebody, and I started the hepatitis C treatment. And the first time didn't work. And then a couple of years later, life had changed. I had gotten a job. I worked for a friend. I was a VP operations for his cookware company. I did pretty well. I was making okay money. And then the same friend whose mom I lived with helped me get a job as a tech recruiter, working for an agency that worked in telecommunications in the corporate world. I had no idea that I was going to be as successful as I was. And I went on, within a year, I was making 6 figures. And I went on to where I was making like 6.5 figures. And that was 1999, 2000, around that time. I did another treatment for the hepatitis C. And this was a clinical trial, and this didn't work. I spent a lot of years not knowing what was wrong with me. My mental health was okay, wasn't great. My mental health was okay, but the liver damage was going on. And I had liver biopsies, and every time I had one, the damage was getting worse. Eventually, I ended up I would rent like an apartment or a house and rent out rooms to other people in recovery, younger people, or or people knew her in recovery. It used to be known as Eve's Home for Wayward Boys because the roommates were usually guys. It worked out better that way. I also found a way to satisfy this sexual obsession, and that was something called AOL, America Online. And I started meeting guys online and hooking up, and it was really friggin' dangerous. And I am fortunate, nothing bad ever happened to me. My friends would read me the riot act. They were so afraid because I would tell them what I was doing. They were so afraid for me. And eventually I was confronted by 4 of my friends, almost like an intervention about this. And I cooled my jets a little bit. But really what intervened was menopause. I lost interest. And like I said, once I stopped having that driving me, I began a different kind of way of recovery. But all along in all this time, while I was recovering, I got very involved in my fellowship. I served the fellowship as area group representative. I was involved in putting on a first regional convention. We're about to have our 38th. I served World Services. I helped write our literature. I was all in. And I got a lot of my self-esteem from that. I became a responsible, productive member of the fellowship, and then became a responsible, productive member of society. And I learned how to help other people. And I've helped other women in recovery since I've had 9 months clean. And I still do. You guys know if I'm ever on something, I'm like, gotta go, I got the phone. It's because somebody I sponsor is calling me. So bring it up to some more modern day. I guess it was 15 or so years ago. I was in a situation where some financial things happened and I was in trouble with the IRS because I was lazy. It was out of sheer laziness. And I was getting my wages garnished and they were not playing and they were leaving me with $167 a week to live on. And that's what the IRS lets you keep if you're in trouble with them and they catch up with you. And I lost the home I lived in that I was rented and didn't know where I was going to go. We were going to rent a room, and Kathy's mother had passed away. She lived in a house with her mom. She'd lived there her entire life. And I moved in with her, and we've been roommates since. That was 15 years ago. No, that was 18 years ago. That's 18 years ago. She's yelling no from the other room. It was 18 years ago. So we lived there until she sold the home, and then we lived in a little house in this nice little neighborhood that had its moments of being not so nice. And at that time, I did a lot of knitting. I was a knitter, and I was working, and I got laid off. Basically, I got fired because I wasn't doing a good job. I like to say I got laid off, but I'm an honest person. I got fired because I was not producing. I was a recruiter, and if you're not producing, you're gone. So it was also a difficult time. You know, the market had crashed in 2000. When the market crashed in 2001, I lost my job the first time, and when the market crashed again in 2009, and I was not producing because it was really hard to produce, meaning getting people jobs, I lost my job. And Kathy supported me with her inheritance at this time. And I went to work as a yarn rep because I was into the whole knitting thing. I found out you could sell yarn for yarn companies to yarn shops. I traveled around 3 states selling yarn, and I did that as long as I could. I had business for about 3 years or so until I got too sick from the hepatitis C. And I became disabled, and I was disabled for the next 5 years. I didn't work. I eventually couldn't do anything. I was physically and mentally so unwell. Kathy ran out of money, and we ended up moving down where we live now because it was way cheaper. And we were broke. Talk about balls of your ass. We were going to food pantries. We were on food stamps. We had our friends helping us out. I had a friend that, quote unquote, sponsored my cat. She sent us a Chewy box of food and litter every month. friends would give me gift cards to the supermarket. We were living on nothing. We had 2 disability checks and that was it. And I got cured of the hepatitis C. A new drug came out. And to this day, I don't know who paid for the drug. The cost for the drug was $90,000 and I had nothing. And my doctor applied for all these programs, and one of them, a grant went through and something paid for the medication. And in 2015, I got cured. I got cured of hepatitis C. And a year later, I had weight loss surgery. I weighed 285 pounds. I had weight loss surgery and I lost over 100 pounds. And I thought, maybe I could get a job. Maybe I could work a little part-time admin job, like maybe doing some typing, some filing, phone. And I got hired with the Mental Health Association, where I work now, for a program that trains people in peer support. Now, my girlfriend that I had hitchhiked to San Diego with is someone that also lives with mental illness. And she had been in and out of recovery. Her mother was in recovery, and her mother was the hope. Mother was the one that showed me that you could stop drinking. And she had worked in a wellness center as a peer supporter. I knew a little bit about it. So I was able to talk about it a little when I went on this interview. I had no idea that I was going to end up with this agency. I'm here over 7 years. That 3 years ago, I would give up disability, because you're able to work while you're on SSD, on Social Security disability. You can work, you can earn so much. And that I was going to give up disability at age 64 and take the risk, allow myself the dignity of risk, and see if I could do a full-time job. And I haven't looked back since. I'm over 3 years working full-time. I've become a trainer. I've got all these peer certifications, all these different things. I'm a certified peer recovery specialist. I train peer recovery specialists in mental health. I'm a RAP facilitator, all this different stuff. And all those letters after my name are great. But what matters the most is I have truly found me. I know what my calling is. I figured that out 20 years ago. I know what my purpose is. And I thought my purpose was to help people, and it's not. My purpose is to bring people together. And it's something I have done my entire life, whether it was people that came to a bar that didn't know each other, but they knew me getting them all to hang out together, or me working as a recruiter, putting people in jobs together. Now I put students together with jobs on my job, because I'm a peer workforce coordinator. I help our graduates get jobs. And of all this, 18 months ago, and this is a whole other journey, right? 18 months ago, I started doing this thing called neurographic drawing. Look it up, it's kind of cool. And it was kind of fun. And I can't draw. Don't put a paintbrush in my hand. I can't draw. I can knit. I can crochet. I used to love doing needlepoint and cross stitch. And hadn't done anything, just a little knitting. I knit when I'm at meetings, right? And I had seen this thing called diamond painting. And I saw it when I was sick, before I was anywhere near to well, when I was in bed 16 hours a day. And I had a tablet and I used to watch things on YouTube. And I saw this thing called diamond painting. When I looked it up, it was expensive. And everything came from overseas, from AliExpress. And everything was double-sided adhesive. And people were talking about all the problems it had. And I never tried it. Over the years, I'd seen diamond dots at Michael's. And the one I always liked was the one that was $89, right? So I wasn't getting that. So something crossed my path, and I was like, maybe it was on Amazon, and I ordered a little diamond painting kit and said, for $7, I'm going to try this. And I tried it, and I loved it. I ordered another one right away. And then I got some coasters, and then I became obsessed with looking up companies, and I was watching YouTube channels to learn how to do it better. And I was watching Katie and Lindsay and Mrs. Coffee and Rachel Ray, the channels that pop up first. And I was watching and learning, and watching unboxings, and I learned about Diamond Art Club, and I was like, I couldn't spend that much money on a kit. But there was one you could get for $22.99 on Amazon that was Diamond Art Club. Let me try that. Let me try squares. And I got that, and I was like, oh, this is a whole new world. And then I ordered Craftably, and then so it started. And I started to get to know more and more, and I was watching more and more YouTubers. And I had maybe been on a live here or there, right? But I went on one of Shay's lives, and people were getting a little naughty, and it was going off the rails. And I was like, yeah, this is my kind of world. And I went on Shay's again the following week, and she remembered me. Hi, Eve. Welcome back. Nice to see you again. And I realized I had found a doorway. I didn't realize. I should say I realized later. I had found the conduit, the doorway into this community. I call Shay the ambassador because she's the one who welcomed me into this world. And then I started going on more channels, and there were other creators and pen turners and people that I would go on lives. And I met Tammy through these lives, and I met Lee through these lives. And they told me, go on, Ditzy is going to be on. She's doing a big giveaway. I don't know if it was for 500 subs or whatever it was. And I went on, and that night I won a pen. And I was like, oh my God, because it was a pen I wanted. I had bought here or there a pen, but now there was this pen. It was one of those dragon pens. It was Beverly Hills Dragon pen. And I was just, I was thrilled. And I had started doing some events. And those of you who know me know I love the Asian art. I'm very involved in this event now. And I started talking to Alyssa Menk and going on her Lunar New Year event a year ago. And I won stuff like my Lunar New Year tumbler and these kind of things. And it was just so incredibly amazing. I now had this life, and what had been that underlying misery is underlying happiness. I can be having a crappy day. I can be nasty and annoyed and annoying and irritable and grouchy, and I can be stressed out and all that. But underlying that now is happiness, joy, and freedom, right? It's not the underlying misery. I have found relief from my illnesses, my multiple mental health things. I had started gaining weight back from the weight loss, and I decided that I was going to try. I had tried I've been in therapy for overeating. I've been, you name it. I had surgery, and I had gained back 70 pounds and started weight loss medications about 18 months ago. And I lost over 100 pounds. So since that 285, I've lost like 140, 150 pounds. I'm not mathing right now. And I'm like a little old lady now, I'm down to fighting weight. It's funny. I like boxing. I'm a boxing fan. And I'm down to fighting weight now. And I found this diamond painting community, and through Shay and Ditzy and Tammy and Lee and everybody, Rich, Lily and Berta, and I don't want to leave anybody out. And now Adam and Angel and everybody, I have an amazing community. I'm working with Kat and Tracy in the background on this event, and I've loved Asian things for so long. I always liked the design, and it all really went deep when I read a book, when I read Memoirs of a Geisha. It's also my favorite book and my favorite movie and my favorite soundtrack from anything, because that got me very interested in interested in Asian culture. And I see that typically through through the eyes of of women that write historical fiction from countries that are from countries in Asia, particularly Eastern Asia, Southeast Asia. And I bought all these Asian diamond painting kits and thought, you know what I'm going to do for 2025? I'm going to do just Asian kits. And then I started thinking, what if we had an event? Well, I don't have a YouTube channel. And it's funny because I was probably diamond painting for about a week and watching videos and unboxing things, going, hello, hello, hello. Today we're going to have an unboxing, right? With the hands going and making believe I had a channel. And now I realize I always thought I didn't have the time for it. And now I absolutely don't. I know that it was a good decision to not do it. As you know, Kathy's my bestie. And Kathy can't diamond paint because Kathy's legally blind. And now she was a caregiver to me those 5 years when I was so sick. And now in a lot of ways, I'm a caregiver to her, not as much as I used to be. She lost 150 pounds. And we're both like in a place where we've never been in our adult lives physically. And Kathy needed an outlet, a creative outlet. She was making those paracord bracelets. And then she wanted to do the acrylic pouring where you pour the acrylic paint. And she started seeing the diamond painting accessories. And the story of Pucky Pie Pours is another story. So, we have our small shop now. And my kitchen looks like a meth lab. It's actually a resin works. We're machinery and equipment and all that stuff. And you guys have embraced us. I mean, I go on, our crew here tends to get a little, we call ourselves the dark side, and we get a little racy and saucy and naughty and off the rails and all that. But I go on other channels that are kind of squeaky clean and they still like me there. And it makes, right? It makes me feel good. I am embraced for who I am, this feisty Jersey girl with the long nails and the trash talking mouth and all that. And I know when to turn it on and when to turn it off. And I love my life. I love my life. I love Kathy with all my heart and soul. I love you guys. Tammy has helped us so much. She has inspired Kathy to do this craft. And sometimes I'm like, I don't know, I can't do this business. I don't have any time, but I'm going to keep doing it because she needs it as much as I do. And I need you guys. You are the icing on the cake of my life. You guys are the icing on the cake of my life. And I love you all for it. And if I didn't get your name out in a shout out, I mean to, and I will in the chat because I have not been watching chat and because I would be too distracted. But I am just so, I know I talked for a long time, but I'm just thrilled for this opportunity to share my story and maybe help another person. If you know somebody that needs help, that's struggling with substance use, with addiction, I know where they can go. I know where they can go with no money and no insurance. In New Jersey, I know all about it. Other places, I can tell them they can walk into a meeting any night of the week. Not even walk in, they can go to a meeting on Zoom and save their own lives. And with that, I give you all the biggest, tightest hug ever. If you like hugs, if you don't, I'll give you an air hug. And I'm going to keep coming to these things. I have one more thing I want to say. I'm going to tell a really, really quick story. Millions of years ago, there were dinosaurs. And dinosaurs lived in these tar pits, right? And over the years, there was all this pressure, all this heat and pressure and stress built up. All these years later, what's come out of that? What did those dinosaurs and all that tar turn into? Turned into diamonds. Shine on, you crazy diamonds. I love you.
You, you're amazing. I hope you know that. I mean,
Thank
this chat is blowing up. I got so many comments to read to you. It was glad you.
I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for allowing me this platform to share my truth.
I have been looking so forward to having you. I mean, I really have. Because I knew you had a story to tell, and I knew that it was deeper than I knew. And I knew it was. And you had told me, I will tell you. That I'm going to tell you on your live. Okay? Uh, that, that's fine. And I want you to know that I'm so proud of you. And I am so proud and honored because you're it. And I want you to know that I looked up to you. They looked up to you. But when I call you every night and I call Kathy every night and I tell you that I love you with all my heart and I get with you, I mean that. I do. That I mean that I don't know. I hit bond that and then we're here for you.
Thank you. You know, I I take you guys up on that. There's times I've reached out to people when I've had some struggles. You know, there's been, we all know there's a little bit of drama here and there in the background. Sometimes things happen. And I've reached out to people. I'm not afraid to reach out. And I've had people reach out to me when they were hurting. And the same way I support my girls, right? The girls that call me for help with their recovery, I support people here in the community. It's how we do it. You know, it's how we do it.
I mean, every time we're on the phone and you say, hold on, I gotta take your call, that doesn't upset me a bit. That makes me happy because I know that you're changing a life. And you sure changed my life.
Thank you. I believe it's giving people the opportunity to change their own lives. I'm a conduit. You know, the higher power just speaks through me sometimes. There's times where I don't even know where some of the stuff I come up with comes from. And usually it's the good stuff that I don't know where it comes from.
I like the way you're very vocal and outspoken, and you tell just you're like me. You're honest to a fault, you know. And I like it. You're not afraid of who you are, and you shouldn't be.
No.
You should not be. And you know, when you told me that you used the word clean, I didn't get it. I didn't. I didn't know. And I thank you. I really thank you. Did anybody have any questions or even? I mean, I like I told you, I was gonna start each and every comment or question. I never at the 34. Now that's the love that you've gotten.
Wow. I'm glancing through the chat here. Wow. Thank you guys so much.
That's the love that you have gotten. And I know this is, well, I don't know. She may be your number one thing, and she might have to stop me to that thought, but she was so excited to this live, as we all are. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't heard a story. I don't know. I haven't had a story that really affected me like this in a really long time. So I'm going to read you some of these comments. And there is some kind of a noise. Are you hearing it? I'm hearing it.
I'm not hearing anything on this end.
Okay, on that end, I'm hearing like a vacuum in it, not none other. I don't know.
Oh, it might, you know what? I was scrolling through the, let me move this over to a different screen. That might help. Is this what you're hearing?
No, I hear like a, what's the word? Like a loud roaring sound. I don't know.
No, I don't. Let me mute. Tell me if you're still hearing it. I'm gonna mute.
It sounds like a vacuum. That's what it sounds like. I don't know. I'm gonna deal with it. It's you 10, I 10. If you're not hearing it, that's all that matters. The third thing I'm deal with it. That I don't know what it is. But
I'm not hearing it on this end, and I muted for about a minute there and didn't hear it. So
okay.
knows. Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm gonna read you some of these comments. There
Okay.
are a lot. So I'm gonna, and I not gonna, I mean there's a lot. So I'm gonna just scroll through them, and then I'm gonna get, one from everybody, and then later on you can, after a couple of hours, you can go on, and I encourage you to read the live chat.
Okay.
I encourage you. You can go back to the live, and at the top it'll say top chat. Just select live chat.
Okay. Yeah, I will do that. So funny. I just glance over at the chat and I scrolled back a ways, and the first thing I see is Berta said, "Bite me, Lee." So I know I'm in the right place.
Dorda, I don't know what Dorda does. I don't know what Dorda doesn't do anything. She does it right. So for some reason, when we get into
no, Berta, I will not. You'll enjoy it too much.
Bye, Dolly. When we enter the studios, we have to actually put ourselves on stage. I don't know why Dorda entered the studio, it puts her on stage, and then she taints it for about 2 seconds until she can get her off stage. And then every time we will say, "Welcome, hi Dorda," and that's what it was. Dorda was on stage for about a minute. I don't know if you noticed that she was. Okay, so Dixie said, "I want to have Eve Thompson in the heart so bad when I grow up."
I want to give it to you. I want to give it to you. How we have to figure out a way from. I got a little extra. I'll be happy to send it your way, Ditsy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all need your heart. And then Pat said, "Either the very strong person." And then when you were telling one of your stories, Chris just said, "Ooh, Edith down there in Louisiana." I think that's when you're telling about the time you were held at the knife point and you got out. Yeah. Then Naomi's here, and she
yes.
"I also attended an alternative high school and learned more there than regular high school."
Yeah.
And then Tracy sent you some hearts. You got so many hearts, and Tracy and Helen and Kat, and just so many. And then Naomi also said, "I wish I would have found the rings of the recovery before my late 30s, that I found them and I was ready to hear the message."
Yeah, that's what we say. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Well, And then she said, this is like being at a teacher meeting, and I had needed a meeting for a little while now. Well, I'm glad you made it here, Naomi. I
Thank you,
really,
Naomi. Naomi, thank you for coming. You know, I see many of the other people or the regular folks that are on this live. And Naomi and I have been doing some bonding because of some of the things we have in common and with the amazing Mary Morales event that she's done, which I loved being involved in. That was such a fun event. It still isn't over officially yet. So it's been exciting. So thanks for coming over. I also see my friend Jamie, who is down the street here. And she's here. Jamie L is here. So she lives right down the road here from me. And she's one of my, Kathy always says I recruit people to diamond painting. She's one of my recruits, you could say.
oh, good.
So hi, James.
Well, welcome, Jamie. I'm glad you made it. And Naomi also congratulated you on 31 years, and so did Pat. And Kat said we loved Kathy, and we're glad that wanted to do. Lord, I can't even read tonight. She said we love Kathy, glad you are wanted to do let you teach that I have a soulmate. And that is so true because very few of us do. I can't say that I found my soulmate yet. I don't think I ever will, but you never know. Life is too short. I had found really close friends that I couldn't want to do without. Couldn't live this world without them. I couldn't. I depend on them, but probably a little too much. And then Naomi also said, I know in the early days of AA and NA, they felt meditating to mental illness was still doing root the addiction. I'm so glad that nowadays there's a better education on mental illness. I think that's very important. And I also think that that is not always addressed. And I think it should be. I don't see anything wrong with mental illness. There isn't. It's a disease, just like a physical disease, and it needs treatment.
Yeah, illnesses, disorders, whatever it may be. I try to work. One of the reasons I come right out and say I recover from mental illness. Today, I say I live with my mental wellness. One of the reasons I'm so out about it is to try to bust the stigma. It's just another type of illness. It's, you know, whether you have a diabetes or some other hypertension, neuromuscular disease, whatever it may be, this just happens to be one that affects my brain.
Yep.
Yeah.
Physical, mental, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We all need our help. And it's okay. I say it all the time. It's okay not to be okay. And it is. Melanie there, she said, thank you for sharing your journey. Love you, Eve. You are an inspiration.
Thank you so much, Melanie. Thank you.
She said she shall have to keep met you at we all are.
Thanks. I'm going to go back up. One of the things I'm seeing is Jamie. Jamie said, Eve, I cannot thank you enough for sharing the last 7 years with me and helping me to find myself and heal myself. You are the anchor in my recovery for sure. And I didn't have any right to tell you where I knew her from. She can tell you she's also in recovery. And we have spent the last 7 years together. Trying to get Jamie to come on and tell her story sometime, Tam. It would be, it's a lot. Yeah.
Welcome here, Jamie. I would love to have you, and I can tell you it's a very safe place here. That is one thing I make sure of. That's the one thing that I've always wanted. I make sure I even have, I call them my team, and I do I've got 3 people to help me behind the stage. and they all know what to do because as long as you're comfortable, that's all I do now. I concentrate on you, and then they do the rest, and that's what I like, and that's so many. You know, a lot of people they do their own lives, and I like it. I don't. I like to have my team. You know, concentrate on you, on the desk, and that's a long-winded way of saying you're more than welcome here, and I'd love to have you here as we all we welcome you with open arms.
I love all the. I'm looking at all the hearts. Thank you all for all the hearts. It's just
You
so,
got
so
so many.
much.
I mean, I'm glad that I had to tempt him because I did hear to next week. And then Brittany and Robin are here.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
Robin came in on her own. So I think it's a Brittany. Oh, well, Johnny says, well, considering Lurch has lightened up a smudge, I would love an extra time to come and share. Well, Johnny, it knows how to get in the contact info. You can get my number. Or you can contact me on social media. That's up to you. And I would love to have you. And if you can't get at the time, I'll make the time that you can be here. Okay. And I think it's Brittany from 13 Diamond.
Okay.
Because I brought them from in under her own name. I don't know where did that come from. Brittany said you're amazing.
Thank you.
And then Naomi said, I love Memoirs of the Day shit, the Blitzen and the movie as well. So did I.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, it's. There was a time I watched that movie every Friday night. It was on one of the, I don't know, AMC or whatever. This was long before stuff streamed. And I would watch it every Friday night. And I would just cry every Friday night because it makes me cry every time. Yeah.
It's a very good movie. Angel said, love you, Eve. So grateful to have you in my life. And Dixie said, I love you. And Kathy also overly excited, bouncy hug.
Big bouncy hug. Yeah.
That's what you didn't get. And then Daisy from Daisy Ritchie DP Craft. That's not the one that always does the artwork to disability that I told you about. That's
Okay.
She said, such an amazing story. It's such a difficult task. If anyone is affected by someone with addiction, Alan is amazing. I'm in a great Zoom group, and it's amazing how much he helps us. There you go. I will put that up there on the screen. Rick said you learned an inspiration Eve, and he said that in all capital letters. So I'm sure he's screaming it and not saying it. So
Thanks, Rich.
And then Stacy said, sending love and support to keep us your journey is what she said, nice hearing from you, Eve. And then Kat said she loves you, you're an inspiration. And she said, this is why she is my hero. That's the word I use. Heroes. You can ask my mama. I use that word. Lenore said thank you. And then Helen said thanks for sharing your story. Pat said you are beautiful inside as much as you are on the outside. Not truly. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Sherry said you're amazing. Rachel said thank you for sharing your amazing story. You can totally rock the spaceship. And then Daisy and Detach, thank you for coming. She said you're an amazing human being, Eve. Thank you for sharing your story. And Dick said I like He dirty, filthy, and oh so funny now. Yeah, he kind of funny. You don't know what she's gonna say now.
I usually, I keep it for certain, maybe Discord kind of things, where the people that show up there know they could hear anything,
Yeah,
so yeah, it's fun. You guys bring out some of the wild wackiness in me that I haven't really been rolling with so much these years, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
we all need time to cut loose and do ourselves sometimes. So we can do that in Discord, that's for sure, and we do. Brittany said, "Thank you for sharing your stories. Your own person." And Amy said, "Thank you for sharing an amazing life story." And then you just read that. Yep. That's Johnny. I'm so glad you're here. I really am. Rather than thank you for your story, is you're amazing. And then Jenny said, "I love how supportive the recovery community is for each other." And then there's one more, Lindy Laser, sorry. "I'm Lindy, thank you for coming." Said, "Hi, Amy and Eve. You're a testament to that old saying, what doesn't kill us only makes us stronger. You are strong. I live with anxiety, depression, social anxiety, and performance anxiety. And those are all the hard. The
Yeah.
those are all the hard that you done. Don't
Yeah,
tell me.
we can recover from all of that. It doesn't mean we're recovered or cured. We can live a life of recovery from mental health issues. Usually people think of recovery as being around substances, substance use. And that's a word that would love people to learn more and more, because many people here are recovering from mental health issues and don't have that language around it. And when you start to put that language around it, it changes things. It's not, I don't suffer from mental illness today. I don't struggle with mental illness today. I live with mental wellness today. When I put the focus on the strength and not the deficit, I then find myself getting stronger. And I'm not somebody that's into all this happy, crappy, toxic positivity stuff. Positivity's fine, but not this you have to be happy all the time stuff. No. We all experience a wide range of emotions, and and some days we have really crappy days. Some people have crappy days, weeks, even crappy years. And yet we can still continue with our recovery.
Yeah, I mean, you just gotta, like I say, some days I don't feel like getting out of bed. I really don't. But like I tell my mom, she'll say, "You don't have to do it today." I'm like, "Yeah, I do. That's what I do. I push through." And I have to do that, or I would just give up. And I'm not that kind of person, and I know you're not. And you inspired me. You really do. I'm not just saying that you do, and I think you know you do.
I I'm here to support you and help you to find out if there's other things you want to do with your life too.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't know it, but we live self-directed lives. And we're the experts. Each one of us is the expert on ourselves. Other people might tell you that they think they know you better than you know you. They don't. You know what you need. You know what you want. I know what I need. I know what I want. Yeah. I love this. Naomi said, funny story. I had dropped in her Discord, just in a private message in the Discord to her, that I was going to be on today. She never saw it. She just came on and she says, I guess higher power put me where I needed to be. You know what? I believe my higher power put me where I needed to be today.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought I took that in your because Naomi has a section in her Discord, just like Dixie does, that you can share your usage. And I swear I thought I did that. I went on there to do it, but God, I tell you, I'll say I'm going to do something, and then something pops in my head, and I'll probably do something else, and I never do remember what I was going to do in the first place. I'm really bad to that. So I'm sorry, Naomi. I'm really glad you found yourself here. And if it helps you guys, that's why I started my channel. To this right here. Not the diamond painting, that's just the icing on the cake. You know. But this right here, and I'm still learning. Hi, Cindy. I didn't see you here earlier. Hi, Cindy. Hello. Yeah. Girl, I do. I don't know why that. I don't know what. I'm trying to. The only thing that near me is my chair, and I gotta sit in it. So I don't know what's going on with that thing. I'll figure it out.
I'm laughing because it's made me think Kathy likes the fan on her room when she goes to bed, right? And she used to think that the fan was playing the radio, right? That it sounded sometimes that whirring noise. And I'm thinking maybe your chair's playing the radio, might be picking up some radio waves or something.
I don't know what it's doing, but if I start taking off bad, it's not me. See, my hands are right here.
Right.
So, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But I couldn't figure out what it was sounded like, and then started demonstrated a vacuum cleaner on here, and I said, yep, that's what it sounds like, the vacuum. But if there's anything that you guys want to ask her, now's the time.
I'm an open book. I wear my heart on my sleeve.
You can ask her anything. I was going to say that to the last. It's an electric interference, like the ditto day with it. Well, it's getting on my nerves, Neil. I don't know what to do. I never had this happen. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, I know my ice maker in the background is making noise now. Let's see if I can do any audio suppression. No, I've got all that. I've got that echo cancellation on, so that should not be happening.
Well, maybe I need to check my settings, and I will do that after the live. Helen said, I'm getting back to diamond painting now that I'm taking the time. If I need to cry, I start diamond painting. Yep. Exactly. It's okay to cry.
And I'm going to go diamond paint tonight. Yesterday, I'm sitting in a meeting for work. We're doing selections we have to go through all our students that have applied and been interviewed for our program. We were doing final selections for this upcoming session. And I'm working from home, so I'm at my computer and I'm diamond painting the whole meeting while we're talking. And I finished a couple of the DAC minis for Lunar New Year. They got done yesterday, and I'm still working on Secret Temple. I do big ones, I guess. I don't know what that's about. I know I'm going to catch it for saying I do big ones, but I do big kits. I have some smaller ones I'm going to work on this year, but right now I've got a lot of big kit management I'm working on, and I don't know, maybe it's big kit energy or something, but I'm going to go do my diamond painting tonight and get up, and tomorrow's Friday, and I'm going to be on the phone for 7 straight hours tomorrow for work.
Oh, wow.
I get to tell our students that they've been accepted to the program, and then I have a bunch of material I have to give them, go through with them. And what's amazing about this is sometimes these people have been told, these are people with mental illness that are in recovery that are going to go to work as peer specialists. And sometimes I get to tell somebody that they've been accepted for training that's never been accepted to anything in their life. I get to tell people they've been accepted to training and they have a chance of going to work that were told by the doctors and by the system that they'll never work another day in their life, because I was told I'd never work again. So I'm proof, and definitely there to encourage and inspire our students. And we have people that are our students are doctors and lawyers and became sick with mental illness and now are in a state of wellness and recovery that are able to help other people. It's non-clinical help that we do. It's support, and super big part of my life.
Well, I like these ones and I cannot lie.
Cannot lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I'm very Eve has and I love doing this. I love interviewing, I love talking to people. And Eve has offered when I'm ready to get me set up to do therapy support and hotlines, and I'm ready to do that. I'm not ready to be ready, if that makes sense.
I have this vision where Tammy, if she ever decides she wants to work or maybe start volunteering, could work from home on the laptop, providing peer support in the disabilities community through a Center for Independent Living. I don't know if there's any in Kentucky. I think every state has sent something like a Center for Independent Living, and supporting someone else and telling them what she's done, because we use our stories. We use our stories to help other people. And when somebody hears that you've gone on and created a YouTube channel with well over 300 subs, and you're online live and on videos, you may have never known. You may have never known you could do this, and now you do, and you can inspire other people too. We all have something we can inspire somebody else with. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. That
when you're ready. Yeah. When the time comes. I don't know Kentucky's system of care. I have no idea what. Actually, I do know there's something going on down there, because I have some friends that are going for a training, and they have to become these advanced level RAP facilitators. RAP is Wellness Recovery Action Planning, and the training's in Kentucky. I really tried to be able to go, but it's too soon. I don't have to recertify until the fall. And I was like, if I get to Kentucky, I'm renting a car. I know where I'm going. But yeah. I'm not in on that cycle, but maybe there'll be another one down there in the fall. We'll see.
Well, I hope so. Because I'm waiting on the time, that's for sure. I don't know if I'll let her lead, but I think that's not coming out. Helen said that the reason you're crying is your friend attached, and I want to say that I'm very sorry for your loss. You have my condolences. You have all of our condolences. And if you need someone to talk to, you can't sleep at night, or you just want to cry.
Yeah, Helen, you can always Facebook message me. That's probably the best way to get me. If you want to talk or just text, reach out. If I don't answer, it's because I'm either working or sleeping.
Yeah. You're not so talk to any one of us in the chat, in this online right now. Any one of us will take your call in a heartbeat. So don't be alone. It's all I want to say. Well, Dad, if you don't have any other questions for Eve, now is going to be the time that I'm going to ask my incredible mom to put the link in and to put in the link for Touchy Top Tours. I would appreciate that. And then we've got some creators in here, and after you put in your own link, if you look on putting in, Adam and Angel and Jenny and oh wow, there was so many in here. Naomi, if you like to, I know there's a lot to ask, so just do what you can. I would appreciate that. But I want to thank you each for being here and telling your story. You've really helped me, and I want you to know that.
Thanks so much, Tams, and thanks for the platform. I love what's going on in the chat. Helen's always the one that puts the hearts out to everybody. Berta said, Helen, it's my turn, and she's got the hearts, and now everybody's throwing the hearts over to Helen. So yeah.
Helen, I experienced the loss too. Just a few days ago. I grew up across from my dad's third cousin, but my sister and I had an aunt and uncle, and then their three boys had my mom and dad, aunt and uncle, but they were cousins. And then we practically stayed together night and day.
Mhm.
Grew up in the house. And I could tell you, I started to write a book once of all the things that we went through together, and I never did. He died. He passed away. He found out he had cancer, and then less than a week later, he passed away. So it's hard for all of us this week. We're all having a hard time. And then Eve comes on here and tells her story with hope and strength. And it's giving me strength. And I want to thank you for that. I'm not as sad as I was.
Thank you so much, Tam. And Helen's giving the hearts back. That's how this rolls. That's how this goes. It's what we call reciprocal and mutual. We're all supporting each other.
Yes, we are. And thank you to those hearts, Helen. I look to those hearts every time she's here. I look to those hearts because they make me feel good. They do this like we menu. We accept that. We all accept that. Well, Helen's heart is something that we've all come to accept. So thank you, Helen. I appreciate it. And on that note, yes, thank you, Kat. I meant to say the agent thing. Like I told you, just you don't know what to do. I don't know why I didn't tell them that they know what to do.
The Asian event has taken on a life of its own. We were at 296 in the group, 296 people a little while ago. We never thought this was going to happen. It's just amazing. And Tracy and Kat have been getting those sponsors, and Adam, it's just, Sarah made bags, by the way, if anybody wants to throw in Sarah's link. They're beautiful. They came today. I want everybody to get their kudos. I want everybody to get their, to reap the rewards. If you haven't subbed to Tammy, sub to Tammy. Tell your friends about this channel. If you haven't yet, go hit that like button, boop it on the nose. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, I appreciate that. And yeah, I hope you got to share LinkedIn. I tell you what, I'm actually one of those event guys. I had a bag. I was gifted by Denise bought me a bag. I'm after one of those event bags. I'm gonna get one day. You wait and see. Sarah makes some
Yeah,
pretty bags, that's for sure.
yeah. She has a Ticket to Ride bags too. They're cool.
I did not
They are
know
very cool. Yeah.
not even in that event, and I love her bags. I do. They're amazing.
Mine came today, so mine and there's a couple prizes in the event or bags. So yeah,
Yeah,
we're yeah excited for that.
I can't
So
wait.
we have a
I'm gonna
maid.
go look. I'm gonna go look right now. Let's see. I'm not seeing her that she's not to the event.
That's going to take you right to it because it's on that. I think it's right on that front page there. And then Sarah's YouTube's here. She does pop ups where you get to see her making the bags.
I know.
And I know Rich has a new video on speaking of diamonds. And there's Brittany and Robin. They have a lot of content coming out. So I'm just looking back through. I know that Shay was on earlier. I'm not sure if she's still here. Shay is still making content. She's not doing lives right now for the time being, but she did a great trip to one of the craft stores to get your diamond painting dry mounted. So yeah, there's Lee has the lives. Lee's got events coming up. Lee and Lenore that are coming up soon. Ditsy's got Reagan-thon and Diamonds in the Rough and other events. So just Jenny Kubakai Art Saturdays on Instagram. Of course, Naomi on House of Miscellanea. Her Mary Morales event's about to end. She has an extremely active Discord group. Lots going on that group. Ditsy too. Ditsy has an active Discord, as does Adam and Angel. I hope I'm not missing anybody. I'm going through. I don't want to miss anybody. I don't know Daisies and Decaf personally, but I don't know if you're doing content or not. Christopher's coming up. Got a few different events, and I met Christopher from doing the Pride event last June. I've got an Asian kit for the Pride event from Rose Prophet Creations by artist Hada Lipsky. That is unbelievably gorgeous.
I love her.
Gorgeous.
I love her.
Yeah, I'm seeing many of the people here are in the Asian event. I just don't want to miss anybody. I don't know if I missed anybody. If I did, it was
not trying to dream the internet. I think it's gonna be there till March the 3rd. That's the deadline. I dared myself to finish it, and then I had to change canvases. But yeah, I'm loving that event that way. I'm loving seeing what they do on doing. I mean,
yeah.
I didn't realize how what's the word I'm looking for? I didn't realize.
Oh, are you frozen,
I didn't
Tammy?
realize what's what I'm looking for. How it did to the Asian artwork is like how much it's out there. I didn't realize that all the animals that you should do for the Asian event.
Yeah.
Building their places. I did not realize that. I had more than I thought I did.
There are so many things represented in Asian culture. Owls and butterflies and dragonflies, and it just goes on and on.
It does.
Cindy, that's so great. It's the first real event that she's joined. Anybody doing it, make sure you are putting your progress. There's no big rules of size or start or finish. Show us your progress in each month. And all that's up there is January. Go to the featured section of Facebook, put your progress in there. Make sure you fill out the form. Make sure that you fill Bugs, Berta, so funny. Make sure that you fill out the form so we can send you prizes if you win.
So
yeah.
do you do you touch the progress every month or every week of the month, or how is that?
Just once a month, you post progress. It could be
Right.
on the same kit. You could do the same kit the whole year. You could do one mini from a mini kit. You could do a half a mini. We just want to see some progress. You could have a different kit every month as long as it's in order to win prizes, it has to be licensed because we want to support artists.
Right.
If someone is at a point where they're not able to buy licensed art, they only can buy budget art, you can still participate, but you wouldn't be eligible for prizes.
Okay.
And you have until tomorrow is the 31st. So the times are on there. I think it's 5 or 6 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, which is UK time. So look and see what time you won't be able to do it anymore tomorrow. It's in the featured section. It says January progress. So even if you've been posting all along, make sure you get it in January progress and that you filled out the form.
Okay.
Because we've got really cool prizes.
I'm glad
Great
that
sponsors.
clear because I wasn't checking that. Well, Dad, I think we've given Namaz enough time to. I think I got just about everybody, and I've seen all of you in here. And if I tell Namaz and I try to list some people, it's not that I didn't remember you. It's just that I can't remember to say all of them. Well, I tried, but I just can't. I don't know. I don't remember everything going on right now, but I just want you to know I see you and I know you're here, and I did not forget about you. I didn't mention you what I'm trying to say. All right. So the deadline's 11:59 GMT, 6:59 Eastern. Is what Pat said. Okay. Well, do you have any parting words you'd like to say before we go? Or
I think you're going to say the parting words how you usually end your live. That probably would be my words. Just that there is always hope, even when you can't grab onto it. If you're not having hope, you can borrow mine. You can borrow mine. Be happy to loan you. I got plenty. And thank you all. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for listening and for your beautiful, kind words. Thank you so much. And thank you for your snarky words too, because you know I love those.
Yeah, we love those. That's for sure. And on that note, I am gonna say, like he said, and I've said it multiple times tonight, it's okay to not be okay. And I'm always here for you, but sometimes you need more than me because I don't have the training. And I just don't know what to say you do sometimes. There's just certain things that I can't help you with, that I'm gonna be here for you. So please, I'm a strong believer in therapy. Would not be here without it. I guarantee you that. I went through a time in my life that I had to have therapy. My dad passed away. It did not take it well, and let's just say the person I am now is not the person I was today. And it's just I saw someone for about a year, and he helped me. The best decision I ever made. So please seek out a therapist, a priest, a teacher. I don't care. Just love yourself, love others, others love you, and you're gonna get the help that you need. And I'm gonna say, like I always say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and I really believe that. I do. Sometimes you gotta go through a whole lot of bad to get to the good. But as long as you have people in your life, do it. Okay. Say thank you for being here. Next week is I'm on my own dad. Third time in 2 months. So I don't know if I even know how to do it live without
Don't worry, Tams. We'll keep it lively in the chat.
Yes, please do help me out, Dad, because I really am kind of stretching over this. You know,
There's one more thing we have to say to make this an official live.
yes. Okay.
Shut up,
fine.
Lee.
Yeah, shut up, please. Just what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shut up.
Now it's official.
That's official. You know, I have a really hard time holding that in sometimes because that means I love him so much that he drives me up the wall. That I love him.
Jenny, you're still good. Come register for the event. You're still good.
I will do it. Jenny, yep. Jenny's been sick, so I hope she's feeling better. I hope she's feeling better, Jenny.
Yes.
Well, everyone, again, thank you for being here. If you want to talk to me anytime, just reach out. You know how to reach me. My contact info is in the link tree that Miss Angel made me because I don't know how to do that. And you can contact me through social media or my email. And I will let you down. Wow, we didn't hear over 2 hours. That's not on the slide yet.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Time flies. Well, thank you again, Ed. And Jamie, if you're still here, get with me. Whenever you're ready, no pressure, no rush. And I would love to have you tell your story. I would. I'd love to hear it. All right, now, I'm going to say goodnight. Ed, you want to say goodnight?
Good night, everybody. I'm going to get some dinner and do some diamond painting. Get up and do it again tomorrow.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something. Diamond painting or I want to color. I've been getting in the coloring that I got trained the dreams in there that really need to get done. I know, Dorda, I see your face. Okay, yeah. I'm going to do train the dreams. All right, I'll see you all later. Good night.
All right.
Bye.
Good night.